All right, we are live. What a beautiful but gloomy day. All right, let's get started. What are we talking about? We are talking about not this Marilyn Monroe. Let's see. So yesterday I came across Marilyn Monroe ad by Chanel, and I think Chanel has this iconic perfume, like a marquee perfume. It's called Number Five, and it was an ad. I'm right now learning French. So Chanel's YouTube channel has this beautiful series called In the Library, where they invite a bunch of I'm guessing Chanel models or celebrities that Chanel has worked with, and talk about books, talk about their favorite books that they have read growing up, and just share stuff about it. And that's how I come across Chanel channel. I thought it's pretty cool, like obviously really aesthetic, and really they're sprinkled with some really beautiful advertisements. And I came across Marilyn Monroe, and way back she was asked like, "What do you wear when you go to bed?" And she's like, "I wear Number Five," something like that. And that was the iconic line that Chanel just took it and ran with it, and it's running with it even today. Like even today, they are like Number Five is their marquee brand, is their marquee product, just because of this line that Marilyn Monroe has said. So it's really cool. It is really cool. Rich history, really rich history. Then working with an iconic artist, being the favorite perfume of an iconic artist, and then just running with it and just milking that cow, milking what's the right word? Milking that opportunity. It's really cool. Okay, let's see. So that's Marilyn Monroe. Perfect. Born Norma Jean Mortensen on June 21, 1926 in LA, California. Oh, she was from LA, California. I thought she was born in Europe or something. Okay. American actress and model who, yeah, I totally have no idea about the history. Was an American actress and model who became one of the most iconic figures in Hollywood history. Birth and early years. Born to Gladys Baker, Monroe's father's identity remains uncertain. She was later baptized Norma Jean. Is it Jean John Jean? I think Jean Baker. Her mother's mental health issues led to Monroe spending much of her childhood in foster homes and an orphanage. Her career began in modeling after being discovered while working in a munitions factory during World War II. Whoa. Monroe's career began in modeling after being discovered. Like today, we hear about the fact that, oh, this person is just walking on whatever the LA shopping street is. I forgot what it's called. Beverly Hills or Beverly Street. I don't know. But if a beautiful lady's walking over there, one of the directors or modeling agent would spot her and be like, hey, you should model. You look great. And you look like someone who could crush in modeling, and that's how they start their career. But this person, Monroe, she was discovered while working in a munitions factory during World War II. She signed her first movie contract in 1946, adopting the stage name Marilyn Monroe. Wow, 1946, right after the war. Interesting. Breakthrough roles. Her career took off with roles in films like Niagara, 953, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, 953, and How to Marry a Millionaire, 953. Hmm, wait, is that right? Three iconic movies in 1 year? Okay. Where she established her dumb blonde persona, which was both a typecast and a platform for her comedic talents. Her acting prowess was recognized with her performance in Bus Stop 56 and Some Like It Hot 59. The latter earning her a Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy. She was married three times. Her first marriage was to James Doher- Doherty in 1942. 1942. Okay, so this was before her career kicked off. Hmm. So first marriage was to James, 1942, followed by Joe DiMaggio, 1954. This was after her hits, after her career took off, 1954, and playwright Arthur Miller in 1956. Her relationship with DiMaggio was particularly high profile, with their honeymoon interrupted by her performance for troops in Korea. Hmm. Monroe was known for her progressive politics, supporting civil rights, and often donating to charities, especially those aiding children in black communities. She suffered from anxiety, depression, and had a history of drug use. Her struggles with mental health were public, and she was institutionalized in 1961. Institutionalized. Wow. And this is Niagara Falls. Is this just because of her first movie, which is called Niagara? Look at these fonts. These fonts are so beautiful. This font is beautiful. This is an iconic photo. Career control. Frustrated with the roles she was offered, Monroe founded Marilyn Monroe Productions in 56. In 56. Okay. So career took off in 53. She had a high profile marriage in 54. She had she had some very interesting, after that she improved in her acting skills with Bus Stop 56, Some Like It Hot 59, comedy. And then by 61, she was institutionalized. I actually don't know what that means. Okay. Founded Marilyn Monroe Productions in 56, seeking more control over her career and breaking away from the studio system's constraints. Cultural icon. Despite a tragic death at age 36 from a drug overdose in 1962. Wow. At age 36, despite her tragic death at age 36 from a drug overdose. Hmm. Age 36 from a drug overdose on August 5, 1962. Her image as a sex symbol and her vulnerability have made her an enduring cultural icon. Over her career, Monroe received several accolades, including three Golden Globes, the Henrietta Award for Best Young Box Office Personality, and was inducted into the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Monroe's philanthropy included significant donations to children's charities and support for organizations like WAIF, which helped place abandoned children in loving homes. Her death has been the subject of numerous conspiracy theories, including alleged affairs with President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, and possible links to organized crime. Hmm. Was marked by ambition to transcend her initial image, her struggles with personal demons, and her lasting impact on Hollywood and popular culture. Her journey from a troubled childhood to becoming one of the most recognized faces in the world is a testament to her resilience, talent, and the complex interplay between her public persona and private life. Hmm. We pretty much covered everything, but let's start with quotes. I think this would be very iconic. Marilyn Monroe. These would be some very interesting thoughts. Keep smiling because life is beautiful thing. Life is a beautiful thing and there's so much to smile about. This life is what you make it. No matter what, you're going to mess up sometimes. It's a universal truth. But the good part is you get to decide how you're going to mess it up. This life is what you make it. No matter what, you're going to mess up sometimes. It's a universal truth. But the good part is you get to decide how you're going to mess it up. Imperfection is beauty. Imperfection is beauty. Madness is genius. And it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. Hmm. Imperfection is beauty. Madness is genius. And it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. I'm good, but not an angel. I do sin, but I'm not the devil. I'm just a small girl in a big world, trying to find someone to love. I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change so that you can learn to let go. People change so that you can learn to let go. Things go wrong so that you appreciate them when they are right. Things go wrong so that you appreciate them when they are right. You believe lies so you eventually learn to trust no one but yourself. And sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. Hmm. I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change so that you can learn to let go. Things go wrong so that you appreciate them when they are right. You believe lies so you eventually learn to trust no one but yourself. And sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. Hmm. A girl doesn't need anyone who doesn't need her. A girl doesn't need anyone who doesn't need her. Okay, perfect. A sex symbol becomes a thing. I just hate to be a thing. But if I'm going to be a symbol of something, I would rather have it be sex than some other things they have got symbols of. Hmm. Fear is stupid. So are regrets. Hmm. Yes. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I think she. I'm guessing this is an biography. Okay, provocative. So she does have a book written on her, which means we would have a lot of quotes. This is actually very interesting. Like sometimes we look into some historical figures and it would be just really cool to get like first-hand quotes from them just to really get the sense of the character and how they were feeling. But also we understand that hey, these quotes are collected from them throughout the years. Like this is not like one person. This is a person that just keeps on evolving and keeps on having newer and newer experiences because they are just so ambitious. So they keep coming across newer and newer experiences. So at whatever time they said this quote, in just 1 year, they would have like an iteration over it. They would have the newer version of the same thing that they said. So it's also very interesting. Like you are looking at a person's life where that person just kept growing, obviously, because if you are studying them, that means that there was a historical figure like did work on themselves and work and did some good things. And that quote is like a is like a it's like a, a, a section in time, a part of a, a point in time where they were still growing. So whenever they said that quote was amazing, but 5 years later, they would have said something different, ideally, uh, hopefully, about that same quote because that person kept on growing. So that would be interesting. Okay, but anyways, known for her wit, vulnerability, and profound insights, left behind a legacy of memorable quotes that continue to resonate with people around the world. Here are some of her most notable quotes. I'm selfish, impatient, and little insecure. I'm selfish, impatient, and little insecure. I make mistakes. I'm out of control and at times hard to handle. But if you can handle me at my worst, oh, I read this one. But if you can handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best. This quote encapsulates Monroe's self awareness and her understanding of the complexities of human relationships. If you can handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best. I'm selfish, impatient, and little insecure. I make mistakes, I'm out of control, and at times hard to handle. Hmm. Imperfection is beauty, madness is genius. And it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. Perspective on beauty and individuality highlights her unique charm and her acceptance of her own perfections. I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change so that you can learn to let go. Things go wrong so that you appreciate them when they are right. You believe lies so you eventually learn to trust no one but yourself. And sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. This quote reflects her philosophical outlook on life's challenges and the lessons they bring. Hmm. I believe that everything happens for a reason. People change so that you can learn to let go. Things go wrong so that you appreciate them when they're right. You believe lies so you eventually learn to trust no one but yourself. And sometimes good things fall apart so better things can fall together. I think it's really interesting. Like, even though she died young at age 36, but she has seen a lot of life. Marilyn Monroe saw a lot of life, more than what an average person sees in their life. Like, she has gone through this massive career trajectory where she has had a lot of, I'm guessing, both really good and really bad experiences. So with all that, it's really good to understand their perspective because, yeah, you can learn a lot. You can learn a lot from their quotes. Okay. A wise girl knows her limits. A smart girl knows that she has none. Hmm. A wise girl knows her limits. A smart girl knows that she has none. The statement showcases Monroe's belief in the potential of women to transcend societal expectations. A wise girl knows her limits. A smart girl knows that she has none. This is very interesting. This is again like a quote that I read recently that, hey, life rewards action, not intelligence. Because sometimes people just go deep into just intellectualizing, overanalyzing, overthinking, all that stuff. On the other hand, you want to be someone who just takes action. You want to be intelligent, but you want to really have a bias for action and not just talk. Keep smiling because life is a beautiful thing and there's so much to smile about. A reminder to offer optimistic view on life, encouraging others to find joy in the everyday. Hmm. If you can make a woman laugh, you can make her do anything. Monroe's insight into the power of humor in relationships. The real lover is the man who can thrill you by kissing your forehead or smiling into your eyes or just staring into space. The real lover is the man who can thrill you by kissing your forehead or smiling into your eyes or just staring into space. This quote speaks to the depth of true affection beyond physical attraction. The real lover is the man who can thrill you by kissing your forehead or smiling into eyes or just staring into space. This quote speaks to the depth of true affection beyond physical attraction. A wise girl kisses but doesn't love, listens, or a wise girl kisses but doesn't love, listens but doesn't believe, and leaves before she's left. Reflecting on the strategic approach to love and relationships. Reflecting on the strategic approach to love and relationships. This makes sense. This makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. Like, when you are a person who is at the peak of their career and you are beautiful and you are being attracted in millions of directions for love and relationships, it's really hard. It's really hard. You are left with option dilemma, and then you need to develop a strategic approach. Hmm. A wise girl kisses but doesn't love, listens but doesn't believe, and leaves before she's left. I'm good but not an angel. I do sin, but I'm not the devil. I'm just a small girl in a big world trying to find someone to love. A poignant reflection on her own humanity and the universal quest for love. I'm good, but not an angel. I do sin, but I'm not the devil. I'm just a small girl in a big world trying to find someone to love. A poignant reflection on her own humanity and the universal quest for love. If you're gonna be two faced, at least make one of them pretty. A humorous yet pointed comment on hypocrisy. If you are gonna be two faced, at least make one of them pretty. A humorous yet pointed comment on hypocrisy. Hmm. We should all start to live before we get too old. Fear is stupid, so are regrets. Hmm. Encouraging a life lived fully and without the burden of fear or regret. We should all start to live before we get old. Fear is stupid, so are regrets. I actually love this quote. Fear is stupid, so are regrets. Nice. Encouraging a life she lived fully and without the burden of fear or regret. I don't mind living in a man's world as long as I can be a woman in it. Hmm. Monroe's assertion of her identity and her place in a male dominated society. I don't mind living in a man's world as long as I can be a woman in it. I'm not interested in money. I just want to be wonderful. Reflecting her desire for personal fulfillment over material wealth. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. I'm not interested in money. I just want to be wonderful. I'm not interested in money. I just want to be wonderful. I just want to be wonderful. Fame is like caviar, you know? It's good to have caviar, but not when you have it at every meal. Fame is like caviar, you know? It's good to have caviar, but not when you have it at every meal. A commentary on the fleeting nature of fame and its limitations. Right, right, right. It feels good. It feels special when you have it, but it won't feel good or special when you have it all the time. Hmm. I knew I belonged to the public and to the world, not because I was talented or even beautiful, but because I had never belonged to anything or anyone else. A reflection on her public persona and her sense of belonging. I knew I belonged to the public and to the world not because I was talented or even beautiful, but because I had never belonged to anything or anyone else. I think she has more quotes. Let's go. Give me more quotes from Marilyn. This is really cool. Give me more quotes from Marilyn Monroe. Imperfection is beauty. Where is that? Where is that? Right. Imperfection is beauty. Madness is genius. And it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. Imperfection is beauty. Madness is genius. And it's better to be absolutely ridiculous than absolutely boring. Hmm. We're all stars, but we must learn how to shine. We are all stars, but we must learn how to shine. Nothing lasts forever, so live it up, drink it down, laugh it off, avoid the drama, take chances, and never have regrets. Because at one point, everything you did was but at one point, everything you did was exactly what you wanted. Nothing lasts forever, so live it up, drink it down, laugh it off, avoid the drama, take chances, and never have regrets because at one point, everything you did was exactly what you wanted. Hmm. We should all start to live before we get too old. Fear is stupid, so are regrets. I'm not interested in money. I just want to be wonderful. Hmm. I'm good, but not an angel. I do sin, but I'm not the devil. I'm just a small girl in a big world trying to find someone to love. I'm trying to find myself. Sometimes that's not easy. Reflecting on her journey of self discovery. I'm trying to find myself. Hey, you should climb the mountain to find yourself. I'm trying to find myself. Sometimes that's not easy. I restore myself when I'm alone, emphasizing the importance of solitude for personal rejuvenation. I restore myself when I'm alone. That makes sense. That makes sense. You restore yourself. You cannot just, you have a social battery and it drains, and then you have to be alone. I restore myself when I'm alone, emphasizing the importance of solitude for personal rejuvenation. I think that love and work are the only things that really happen to us. A profound observation on the essence of human experience. Hmm. Fulfillment in work and passion in love. Hmm. I think that love and work are the only things that really happen to us. A profound observation on the essence of human experience. The real lover is the man who can thrill you by just touching, hmm, touching your head? It was kissing your forehead. The real lover is the man who can thrill you by just, we'll read the original one, kissing your forehead, or smiling into your eyes, or just staring into space. A romantic insight into what true love means to her. I think this is really cool. I think that love and work are the only things that really happen to us. Hmm. I think that love and work are the only things that really happen to us. A profound observation on the essence of human experience. I think there's two things in human beings that they want to be alone, but they also want to be together. A reflection on the duality of human nature. That makes sense. That makes sense. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. I think this is very interesting. Like every time you travel, every time I travel to a beautiful place and have a beautiful experience, the first 2 3 days, I am just in the awe. I'm just in awe of the experience. I'm just in awe. I'm just, I'm just, I'm just mind blown. I'm just mind blown of this experience, the beauty that I just saw. And then because you had that high, then you start having the low. And when the low started last time on my trip, it was really cool. I came across this bookstore, which was in downtown, but the bookstore had a lot of history over there. The bookstore had been over there for a long time. It was kind of the favorite of the public, but because of some issues, the bookstore had to close down. But even after closing down, they didn't just clear up and empty the entire store. They had kind of love letters outside. That was so cool. It was so cool. Like even after closing that down, that bookstore, I think it's called Alexandria or Alexander's bookstore, Alexander's bookshop, something like that. And it had either either some really good quotes and pages and writings or letters, or love letters from public. Either it had like really beautiful letters, content, kind of from really like some really interesting work from real authors, writers, or it had like love letters. And it was really cool. Like over there, it said something like the fact that only when you truly get lost is when you find yourself. And I think that is really cool. That is really cool. Like only when you truly get lost is when you find yourself. So every time you travel, you feel like you are lost, and that is what really helps you. Like when you are lost, you truly understand that, okay, now that I'm lost, let's go back. What really matters to me now? When I was back home, I cared about a lot of things. I cared about a lot of things that, hey, my bed has to be done in a certain way. When I wake up, I need my coffee. I need my coffee in this specific mug, in my blue mug. At exactly 10 a.m., I go down, I grab a oat milk latte from this coffee shop. You have a lot of very specific things that you think that matter to you. But when you travel, after the peak, you have the trough, and you get lost. And when you get lost, that is when you understand that, oh, I feel lost. What really matters to me now? Mm, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I don't think there's two things in human beings that they want to be. I think there's two things in human beings that they want to be alone, but they also want to be together. I think that sexuality is only attractive when it's natural and spontaneous. Her view on the allure of genuine expression. I think that sexuality is only attractive when it's natural and spontaneous. Hmm. A girl doesn't need anyone who doesn't need her. Boy thinks girls are like books. If the cover doesn't catch their eye, they won't bother to read what's inside. A critique on superficial judgments. Boys think girls are like books. If the cover doesn't catch their eye, they won't bother to read what's inside. If the cover doesn't catch their eye, they won't bother to read what's inside. That is poetic. If the cover doesn't catch their eye, if the cover doesn't catch their eye, they won't bother to read what's inside. Wow. A critique on superficial judgments. Boys think girls are like books. If the cover doesn't catch their eye, they won't bother to read what's inside. Wow. I live to succeed, not to please you or anyone else. I live to succeed, not to please you or anyone else. An affirmation of her personal drive and ambition. I live to succeed, not to please you or anyone else. An affirmation of her personal drive and ambition. A wise girl knows her limits. A smart girl knows that she has none, encouraging women to push beyond societal expectations. Above all, I want to be treated as a human being, a plea for recognition beyond her public persona. Above all, I want to be treated as a human being. A smile is the best makeup a girl can wear. A simple yet profound beauty tip. Beauty tip. A smile is the best makeup a girl can wear. If I'm a star, the people made me a star, acknowledging the role of her audience in her success. Let's see if we can find more. Give me more quotes. I'm good but not an angel. I do sin but I'm not the devil. I'm just a small girl in a big world trying to find someone to love. This was really poetic. If the cover doesn't catch the eye, they don't bother to read what's inside. If the cover doesn't catch the eye, if the cover doesn't catch their eye, they don't bother to read what's inside. Hmm, very interesting. I'm good but not an angel. I do sin but I'm not the devil. I'm just a small girl in a big world trying to find someone to love. I'm trying to find myself. Sometimes that's not easy. Or restore myself. Hmm, okay. Now we are repeating. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. This is also good. This life is what you make it. No matter what, you're going to mess up sometimes. It's a universal truth. But the good part is you get to decide how you're going to mess it up. This life is what you make it. No matter what, you're going to mess up sometimes. It's a universal truth. But the good part is you get to decide how you're going to mess it up. Hmm. What are the major events in the life of Marilyn Monroe since her inception, since her birth? Let's see. Let's see. We also want to check out Marilyn Monroe in popular culture. That would be cool. I know in Mississauga, in it's a suburb near Toronto, Canada. They have these two buildings that have a very curved figure, and they are called Monroe buildings, something like that, just because of the figure, the curves. Okay, let's see. Office timeline, life events, movies. 926. Norma Jean Mortensen is born, placed in foster care. 1 year later, wow, 34 becomes ward of the state. Wow. This is also interesting. Like, we don't know the identity of her dad. Her mom uh, suffered from some issues, so she never felt belonging. She only lived in foster care. She became a ward of the state, and that would definitely make someone feel Like, this is the quote, right? I always felt that I belonged to the public. I knew I belonged to the public and to the world, not because I was talented or even beautiful, but because I had never belonged to anything or anyone else. But because I had never belonged to anything or anyone else. Hmm. Becomes ward of the state 941, enrolls at Van Nuys High School, marries to avoid returning to the orphanage 942. Wow. Signs contract with modeling agency 45. Signs contract with acting agency. First movie 48. Ladies of the Chorus, The Asphalt Jungle, presenter at the 23rd Academy Awards. Movie Gentleman Prefers Blondes, the 7-year itch. Founds her own production company, marries Joe DiMaggio. The Prince and the Showgirl, marries Arthur Miller. Bus Stop, Golden Globe for Best Actress. Some Like It Hot, Let's Make Love, dies of barbiturate barbiturate overdose. 62. Wow, The Misfits. Very few movies. Look at this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 movies. But what an epic run. 9 movies, but what an epic run. She's still remembered today. A timeline of people, places, and events. Carl Rollison. Hmm. Born Norma Jean Mortensen was born in Los Angeles General Hospital, California. Her father's identity remains unconfirmed, and her mother suffered from mental illness, leading to Monroe spending much of her childhood in foster homes and an orphanage. Mother was confined to asylums, and Monroe was sent to live with family friends and later in foster homes. Moves in with family friend Grace McKee Goddard. Age 16, marries 21-year-old neighbor Jimmy to escape foster home existence. Discovered by U.S. Army photographer David Conover. U.S. Army photographer David Conover, beginning her modeling career, signs her first contract with 20th Century Fox as Marilyn Monroe, adopting her stage name. 49. Poses for nude calendar shots taken by Tom Kelly, which would later be used in the launch of Playboy magazine. Hmm. 50. Makes minor appearances in critically acclaimed films The Asphalt Jungle and All About Eve, making her big break. 52. Wins the Henrietta Award for Best Young Box Office Personality from the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Achieves stardom with roles in Gentlemen Prefer Blondes and How to Marry a Millionaire. Becomes the first Playboy centerfold. 54. Marries Joe DiMaggio. A highly publicized event, performs for troops in Korea. Shoots the iconic skirt blowing scene for the 7-year itch. Oh, this one. This one. Okay. The couple separates after less than a year of marriage. Leaves Hollywood for New York to study acting at the Actors Studio. Marries playwright Arthur Miller, becoming Marilyn Miller. Stars in Bus Stop and The Prince and the Showgirl. Wins Golden Globe for Best Actress for her role in Some Like It Hot. Her last completed film, The Misfits, is released. Sings Happy Birthday to President John F. Kennedy at Madison Square Garden. Dies at age 36 from an overdose. Posthumous. Her death was ruled a probable suicide, but conspiracy theories persist regarding her relationships with the Kennedy brothers and possible links to organized crime. Hmm. Her journey from a troubled childhood to becoming one of Hollywood's most iconic figures, her struggles with personal life, and her lasting impact on popular culture. Hmm. Tell me the story. 945, discovered by US Army photographer. Wallace. Hmm. Looks totally different person. Interesting. In 45, Marilyn Monroe, then known as Norma Jean, was working at the Radio Plane Company, a munitions factory in Van Nuys, California, where she was involved in inspecting and spraying parachutes with fire retardant. Retardant. Fire retardant. Hmm. Retard basically in French means to delay something. Being late, delay. So fire retardant basically means something that makes fire fire retard, like delay fire. Interesting. Where she was involved in inspecting and spraying parachutes with fire retardant. Her husband Jim was serving in the Merchant Marines during World War II, leaving her to live with his parents and work to support herself. Hmm. Her husband was serving in the Merchant Marines during World War II, leaving her to live with his parents and work to support herself. Hmm. Was working at the Radio Plane Company, a munitions factory in Van Nuys. One fateful day, US Army photographer David Conover was sent to the factory by Captain Ronald Reagan, hmm, who was then working in the US Army Air Force's First Motion Picture Unit. First Motion Picture Unit to take morale boosting pictures of female workers. Conover's mission was to capture images of women contributing to the war effort, which could be used to boost the spirits of soldiers overseas. Very interesting. Very interesting. Was working at the Radio Plane Company, a munitions factory in Van Nuys, where she was involved in inspecting and spraying parachutes with fire retardant. So basically, when parachutes don't catch fire. Okay. Her husband was serving in the Merchant Marines during World War II, leaving her to live with his parents and work to support herself. One fateful day, US Army photographer David Conover was sent to the factory by Captain Ronald Reagan, who was then working in the US Army Air Force's First Motion Picture Unit to take morale boosting pictures of female workers. Conover's mission was to capture images of women contributing to the war effort, which could be used to boost the spirits of soldiers overseas. While photographing the workers, Conover came across Norma Jean. He was immediately struck by her natural beauty and magnetism. He was immediately struck by her natural beauty and magnetism. He described her as having something that touched and intrigued me, noting her half child, half woman appearance. I'm guessing this is her. This is the picture that was clicked. Hmm. He described her as having something that touched and intrigued me, noting that her half child, half woman appearance with curly, ash blonde hair and a face smudged with dirt from her work. He took her picture, and although face smudged with dirt, we don't see that, but okay. He described her as having something that touched and intrigued me, noting her half child, half woman appearance with curly ash blonde hair and a face smudged with dirt from her work. He took her picture, and although none of those photos were used for the intended purpose, This encounter marked the beginning of Norma Jean's transformation into Marilyn Monroe. Conover was convinced of her potential as a model and continued to photograph her throughout the spring and early summer of 1945. He encouraged her to pursue a career in front of the camera, advising her to buy new clothes and build a professional portfolio. Norma Jean, excited by the prospect, wrote to her foster sister about Conover's advice and his contacts in the modeling industry. With Conover's guidance, Norma began modeling for him and his colleagues, defying her husband's wishes and his mother's disapproval. She eventually signed a contract with the Blue Book Model Agency in August 1945, marking the start of her modeling career. This agency deemed her figure more suitable for pinup than high fashion modeling, and she appeared on numerous magazine covers including Family Circle and Pageant by early 1946. Hmm. So defying her husband's wishes and his mother's disapproval, signed a contract marking the start of her modeling career. Agency deemed her figure more suitable for pinup than high fashion modeling. This chance encounter with David Conover was a catalyst that propelled Norma into the world of modeling and eventually into the realm of Hollywood stardom as Marilyn Monroe. Her journey from a factory worker to an international icon began with those first photographs taken by Conover, setting her on paths that would change her life and leave an indelible mark on popular culture. First major modeling assignment, early modeling career, challenges, marriage. Okay, that's a good question, but let's first see. Tell me the story of how she got to pick the name Marilyn Monroe. Adopting her iconic stage name is a tale of transformation, identity, and pursuit of new persona. Wait, what? Yeah, we just want a story how they picked the name. We don't want anything else. Oh, her mother, Paul Baker, had married Jasper Newton Baker, but he was abusive and eventually left, taking their children with him. Gladys later married Martin Edward Mortensen. Hmm. Gladys later married Martin Edward Mortensen, whose surname appeared on Monroe's birth certificate, though he was not her biological father. Monroe moved between foster homes and orphanages, often feeling unwanted and associating her given name with feelings of abandonment and neglect. To avoid returning to an orphanage, she marries James, becoming Norma Jean Doherty, while Doherty, Doherty, while modeling for pinup magazines, she used the alias Jean Norman, a combination of her given name. In 1946, after signing a contract with 20th Century Fox, studio executive Ben Leon suggested she needed a more glamorous name for her acting career. Leon, who was reminded of Broadway star Marilyn Miller. This is crazy. This is crazy. Hmm. This is crazy because she ended up marrying Arthur Miller and her name became Marilyn Miller. Wow. Leon, who was reminded of Broadway star Marilyn Miller, suggested the first name Marilyn. Monroe in turn suggested Monroe Monroe, her mother's maiden name, as her surname. Her mother's maiden name, Gladys Pearl Baker. Hmm, interesting. Interesting. Suggested Monroe, her mother's maiden name, as her new surname. Other name considerations. Before settling on Marilyn Monroe, other Names were considered, including Claire Norman, Meredith, and Carol Lind. Carol Lind, Carol Lind, Claire Norman. Wow, this person. So many things have to come together. Even the name Marilyn Monroe, it sounds like a glamorous name. It is a glamorous name. Uh, the way you pronounce that name, you kind of understand that, oh, it is a glamorous, it's a good name. Legal name change. So many things have to come together, like Claire Norman, Meredith, Carol Lind, Carol Lind. No, Marilyn Monroe. That's good. Although she had been using the name Marilyn Monroe as a stage name since 46, it wasn't until February 23, 1956, that she legally changed her name to Marilyn Monroe, 4 months before marrying playwright Arthur Miller. Was deeply personal. She saw Norma Jean as a symbol of her troubled past, feeling it represented an unwanted, shy, orphanage slave and a little servant girl. Hmm. It represented an unwanted, shy, orphanage slave and a little servant girl. By adopting Marilyn Monroe, she sought to leave behind her childhood identity and embrace a new empowering persona. Name change was more than a simple rebranding, it was a significant step in her transformation from her troubled childhood to becoming one of Hollywood's most iconic figures. Her name became synonymous with glamour, beauty, and quintessential sex symbol of 50s. Give me stories, give me interesting stories, facts about on Marilyn Monroe in popular culture today. Let's see. Her determination to reinvent herself, leaving behind the pain of her past and embracing a new identity that would define her career and legacy. Influence on modern celebrities. Many contemporary stars have cited Monroe as an influence or have been compared to her. For instance, Kim Kardashian was dubbed the new Marilyn Monroe. Interesting. Hmm. By her then husband Kanye West, highlighting her controversial yet captivating public image. Paris Hilton also likened herself to Monroe, claiming every decade has an iconic blonde figure. Every decade has an iconic blonde figure. Madonna expressed a bond with Monroe, feeling sympathy for the pressures she faced in Hollywood. Image and film. The Netflix film Blonde, directed by Andrew Dominic, based on Joyce Carol Oates' novel, has stirred controversy for its portrayal of Monroe. While some see it as a feminist reimagining, others criticize it for perpetuating the myth of Monroe as a victim of her own fame. Perpetuating the myth of Monroe as a victim of her own fame, focusing on the darkest aspects of her life rather than her talent or agency. Focusing on the darkest aspects of her life rather than her talent or agency. Her legacy beyond the screen. Monroe's impact extends beyond her film career. She was a trailblazer in asserting control over her career by founding Marilyn Monroe Productions, one of the first women to do so in Hollywood, showcasing her resilience and determination in a male dominated industry. I think that is actually really cool. That is really cool. Like she had just gained fame, 53, like 46 she started modeling. I think around 52, 53 she had just started getting a bunch of hits and she finally went into limelight. And then 56 is when she's like, oh, I'm not happy with the kind of roles I'm getting, I'll make my own productions. So that is really cool. That is really cool. One of the first women to do so in Hollywood, showcasing her resilience and determination in a male dominated industry. Philanthropy. Generosity is often overlooked. She played a pivotal role in helping Ella Fitzgerald securing a gig at the prestigious Mocambo nightclub in 55. Hmm. which was a turning point in Fitzgerald's career and opened doors for other black musicians. Secure a gig at the prestigious Mocambo nightclub in 55. Cultural symbolism has become an archetype of female victimhood in popular culture, often depicted as a tragic figure. However, her life was much more complex and nuanced than the stereotype she was often typecast as. She was known for her intelligence, wit, and her efforts to educate herself. After her death, Monroe's image continues to be a symbol of beauty, glamour, and the complexities of fame. Her influence is seen in music and even in the way modern celebrities navigate their public personas. While her public image was that of a sex symbol, those who knew her personally described her as a kind, caring, and generous person far removed from the blonde bombshell stereotype. Rise to fame coincided with significant cultural shifts in the 50s, where she became a symbol of sexual liberation and changing attitudes towards women in film and popular culture. Illustrate how Marilyn Monroe's life and career continue to resonate in popular culture, influencing perceptions of beauty, fame, and challenges faced by women in entertainment industry. Hmm, let's see. Tell me more. The myth of Monroe as a victim of her own fame. Is there anything that we don't know so far? So she was she addicted to drugs? She was institutionalized. We have to check more about that. So drugs came into play. Um, Just a lot of distractions came into play, a lot of people asking for her time, wanting things from her. What is this? The drug related deaths of today and yesterday. A victim of substance use disorder. Whoa, whoa. The Waldorf Astoria, New York. Wow, this is really cool. This is actually the notepad of this hotel. The towers of the Waldorf Astoria, New York. This is really cool. Marilyn and her monsters. For all the millions of words she has inspired, for all the millions of words she has inspired, Marilyn Monroe remains something of a mystery. I cannot read this. Let's zoom in. She was living in the Gladstone Hotel on 52nd Park off Street off Park Avenue when she began working with Strasbourg and embarked upon the psychoanalysis that was de rigueur for taking classes at the actor's studio. I picked up a chair and slammed it against the glass. I took a lot of banging. I went over with the glass concealed in my hands and sat. Okay, right here. For all the millions of words she has inspired, Marilyn Monroe remains something of a mystery now. A sensational archive of the actress's own writing, diaries, poems, and letters is being published, with exclusive excerpts from the book. Fragments. Sam Kashner enters the mind of a legend, the scars of sexual abuse, the pain of psychotherapy, the betrayal by her third husband, Arthur Miller, the constant specter of hereditary madness, and the fierce determination to master her art. Fierce determination to master her art. Really cool. Really cool. The myth of Marilyn Monroe as a victim of her own fame is a pervasive narrative that has been perpetuated and expanded upon in popular culture, particularly in the recent portrayals. Reduction to an image, often been reduced to a series of iconic images: the red lips, the platinum blonde hair, breathy voice, and the dumb blonde persona. overshadowed her talent, intelligence, and the complexities of her life, focusing instead on her physical appearance and the sexualized image she was often forced to project. Victimhood has been a dominant theme in many biopics and biographies. She's frequently depicted as a tragic figure, a victim of Hollywood's exploitative system. Her own mental health struggles and the men in her life. This portrayal often emphasizes her suffering, her struggles with addiction, and her tragic end, overshadowing her agency, ambition, and the joy she found in her work. Has been used to explore Her life has been used to explore themes of exploitation or objectification, often in a way that further objectifies her. Films like Blonde have been criticized for focusing on graphic depictions of sexual violence and abuse, reducing her to a spectacle of suffering rather than exploring her as a multifaceted individual. Reflects the misogyny of the film industry and society at large. She's depicted as a sexual object, a commodity to be consumed, which aligns with Laura Mulvey's theory of the male gaze. Fictionalization and sensationalism have taken liberties with Monroe's life story, adding fictional elements that emphasize her victimhood. A fixation on her father's absence. Cultural debasement. The continuous cultural debasement of Monroe's image involves portraying her as a tragic figure, often ignoring her accomplishments, her efforts to control her career, and her personal growth. Hmm. Public and media obsession. Focal point for conspiracy theories and sensationalized stories. The two Marilyns, there's a dichotomy in how Marilyn is remembered as a glamorous, sexualized star and as the vulnerable, troubled woman. The duality has been used to craft narratives that focus on her downfall rather than her achievements, reinforcing the victim narrative. Hmm. Let's see. Tell me the story. Mary's Joe DiMaggio, a highly publicized event. The meeting. Joe DiMaggio, a retired baseball legend known as the Yankee Clipper, was introduced to Marilyn Monroe in 1952. Monroe DiMaggio. Hmm. A retired baseball legend known as the Yankee Clipper was introduced to Marilyn in 52. Initially, Monroe was skeptical about meeting him, expecting a flashy New York sports type. However, she was pleasantly surprised by DiMaggio's reserved nature and his respectful demeanor, describing him as someone who treated her like something special. The relationship blossomed quickly, with the press ensuring they were always in the headlines. They preferred to stay in or dine privately at DiMaggio's restaurant in San Francisco to avoid the public gaze. The romance was seen as a perfect match by fans with DiMaggio's respectability and Monroe's glamour, creating a fairy tale image. Hmm. These are some really cool black and white photos. The romance was seen as a okay, the wedding. January 1454, Monroe and DiMaggio married in a private ceremony in San Francisco City Hall. Despite their desire for privacy, the event was leaked to the press, leading to a mob of reporters and fans. Monroe wore a smart brown suit with a fluffy white collar. I'm guessing this is it. While DiMaggio opted for a simple suit. The wedding was described as a wedding of the year. The honeymoon in Japan was combined with DiMaggio's business trip to Tokyo. The honeymoon in Japan was combined with DiMaggio's business trip to Tokyo. However, tensions arose when Monroe was asked to perform for US troops in Korea. She agreed. Hmm. The honeymoon in Japan was combined with DiMaggio's business trip to Tokyo. However, tensions arose when Monroe was asked to perform for US troops in Korea. She agreed, leaving DiMaggio in Japan, which reportedly made him unhappy. Monroe's comment about the cheering troops further strained the relationship. Hmm. DiMaggio was uncomfortable with Monroe's public image. He wanted a traditional stay at home wife, while Monroe sought a partner who understood and supported her career. Hmm. He wanted a traditional stay at home wife. How can you expect that from Marilyn Monroe? Now that she is a popular figure and she loves her work, while Monroe sought a partner who understood and supported her career. This fundamental difference in expectations led to conflicts particularly evident during the filming of The 7 Year Itch, where DiMaggio was reportedly disgusted by the famous skirt blowing scene. The divorce. Just 274 days after their wedding, Monroe filed for divorce, citing mental cruelty. Reports suggest DiMaggio was controlling, jealous, and possibly verbally abusive, though there's limited evidence of physical abuse. Decision to divorce was influenced by DiMaggio's desire for her to abandon her career and his discomfort with her public persona. He remained deeply in love with Monroe. He supported her from a distance, and when she was admitted to a psychiatric clinic in 1961, he helped secure her release and took her to the Yankees' spring training camp for rest. Rumors of remarriage circulated, but they maintained they were just good friends. Love for Monroe was evident even after her death. He placed flowers on her grave every week until his own death in 99. Oh shit, I'm getting goosebumps. Wow. Wow. DiMaggio's love for Monroe was evident even after her death. He placed flowers on her grave every week until his own death in 99, fulfilling a promise he made to her. Wow. She died in 62, 72, 82, 92, almost 40 years. Their relationship, though short lived, 274 days of marriage, and then 40 years after her death, every week he placed flowers on her grave. The relationship, though short lived, left a lasting impact on both their lives and the public perception of their love story. Encapsulates the complexities of fame, love, and the clash of personal experiences. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Joe DiMaggio's quotes on Marilyn Monroe. Joe was quite mean to Marilyn when they were married, but after she died, he did tend to her grave, which made up for it. The reason I play so hard is that somewhere out there is some kid who has never seen me play before, and I don't want to disappoint him. I've never fooled anyone. I've let people fool themselves. They didn't bother to find out who and what I was. Instead, they would invent a character for me. I wouldn't argue with them. They were obviously loving somebody I wasn't. Who is this actress? Do we know her? I love you and want to be with you. DiMaggio wrote in one 1954 letter penned after he learned from Monroe's televised announcement that she was filing for divorce after their several months long marriage. There is nothing I would like better than to restore your confidence in me. My heart split even wider seeing you cry in front of all these people. Hmm. I want someday to be proud of me as a person and as your wife and as the I cannot read this. But the handwriting is nice. Handwriting is aesthetic, but it's hard to understand. Like who understands this? I miss it so much when you don't love me and hold me and cuddle me to please very might please every night cuddle me to sleep every night. I want to be with I want to be new you. I want to be new you. And I feel so sad tonight. Darling, please don't leave me anymore. Joe DiMaggio. Wow. Handwriting is aesthetic. Our children. I cannot read it. I cannot read it. It hurts. I've never thought that I have never thought that was anybody's business but my own on his relationship with Marilyn Monroe. I've never thought that was anybody's business but my own. Joe, said Marilyn Monroe. Just back from Korea. Just back from Korea. You never heard such cheering. Yes, I have. Joe answered. Joe is like, I don't think you remember. I am a star player, and I had those cheers every week. This quote reflects DiMaggio's response to Monroe's excitement about the cheering she received from troops in Korea, indicating his own experiences with fame and adulation. I always knew who killed her, but I didn't want to start a revolution in this country. I will go to the grave regretting and blaming myself for what happened to her. Well, the whole lot of Kennedys were, and they always got away with it. They'll be getting away with it 100 years from now. Mm, okay, this is some. We don't want to get into the concert over here, but let's keep going. We want to learn from Marilyn Monroe. We want to learn from her. Leaves Hollywood, marries Arthur Miller. Her best movie. Okay, what movie did she get awarded for? She got the award for, yes, wins Golden Globe for Best Actress in her role. Some like it hot. Okay. Tell me the significance of the movie. Some like it hot, and what led to Marilyn winning an award for it. I don't think that question is very well crafted, but I hope Perplexity understands me. Let's see. Some Like It Hot, widely regarded as one of the greatest comedies in film history. Wow. And its significance can be attributed to several key factors: critical and commercial success. The film opened to both critical acclaim and commercial success, becoming a cultural touchstone. It was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, winning for, okay, Marilyn Monroe and her bosom companions. Some Like It Hot. Interesting. Whoa, this is a nice poster. This is a really nice poster. Some Like It Hot. This is a really nice poster. They have such a good design. They had such a nice design taste. They're making really aesthetic. Wow. The film opened to both critical acclaim and commercial success, becoming a cultural touchstone. It was nominated for 6 Academy Awards, winning for Best Costume Design, and was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry in '89 for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. The Hays Code. Film was produced without approval from the Motion Picture Production Code due to its themes of cross-dressing, implied homosexuality, and sexual innuendo, which were considered taboo at the time. Its success is often cited as one of the reasons behind the eventual retirement of the Hays Code, marking a turning point in film censorship. The narrative structure, combining elements of romantic comedy, buddy movie, crime caper, and musical, was groundbreaking. It explored themes of identity, transformation, and tolerance, making it a progressive film for its time. Memorable performance. The film featured standout performance from its lead actors. Marilyn Monroe, in particular, delivered what many consider her best performance as Sugar Cane Kowalczyk. Kowa- Sugar Cane Kowalczyk, a role that showcased her comedic, 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 comedic timing, vulnerability, and musical talents. Cultural impact. The film's humor, dialogue, and iconic scenes like the famous Nobody's Perfect line have become part of popular culture. Its influence can be seen in numerous subsequent films and TV shows that have borrowed from its comedic style and themes. Award in a musical or comedy for her role in Some Like It Hot in 1960. This was the only competitive acting award she ever won. Despite her personal struggles, including frequent lateness and difficulty remembering lines, her performance was praised. Director Billy Wilder, who had previously worked with her, tailored the role to her strengths, believing her unique charisma would shine through, which it did. Critics and audiences alike recognized Monroe's contribution to the film's success. Her portrayal of Sugar was seen as both comedic and heartfelt, showcasing her ability to convey innocence and cunning simultaneously. Finest work, range as an actress beyond the dumb blonde stereotype, her win at the Golden Globes was a testament to her talent and the impact of her performance on the film's overall success. Tell me stories about signifying how Marilyn Monroe cared about her work and just wanted to be wonderful. Hmm. My story with Ben Hecht, a photographic life. Dedication to her craft and her desire to be wonderful rather than just famous are well documented. The Secret Diary. Personal writings reveal a woman deeply committed to her work and self improvement. In her notes, she expressed a desire to work fully and sensitively, without shame, and to help herself analytically, no matter how painful the process might be. She wrote about her first desire to be an actress and her relentless pursuit of discipline and technique, showing her commitment to her craft beyond the superficial aspects of fame. Meticulous in her preparation for both modeling and acting, she would take home photographs of herself to study how she looked and posed, striving to improve her craft. Her agent, Emmeline Snively, noted how Monroe made everyone she talked to feel special, showcasing her charm and dedication to her public persona. Breaking studio contracts. At the height of her career, Monroe refused to do certain pictures because she didn't like the material, leading to her being put on suspension. Instead of succumbing to studio pressure, she moved to New York City to study at the Actors Studio, demonstrating her commitment to growth as an actress rather than just being a studio product. In a bold move, she founded her own production company to gain control over her career and the roles she played. This was a significant step towards asserting her agency in an industry where women had little control over their own destinies. When a nude photo of Monroe from 49 was sold to a calendar company in 51, she faced a potential career ending scandal. Instead of denying it, she admitted it was her, explaining her financial situation at the time, and defended her decision with eloquence, showcasing her integrity and commitment to her work over public opinion. A story from her friend describes how Monroe could transform herself from an ordinary person into a captivating star with a subtle shift in her demeanor. The ability to turn on her star quality when needed highlights her understanding of her public persona and her dedication to delivering a performance even in everyday life. Her work ethic was often overshadowed by her public image, but she was known for her relentless pursuit of perfection in her performances. She would work tirelessly on scenes, often to the frustration of directors and co stars, but her commitment was to deliver her best, not just to be famous. I want to do the best that I can do in that moment when the camera starts until it stops, emphasizing her focus on the quality of work rather than the fame it brought. Hmm. Tell me more about Hollywood's exploitative system in relation to Marilyn Monroe. Let's see. Complex narrative that intertwines her personal struggles, her career ambitions, and the industry's pervasive culture of objectification and abuse. Heavily sexualized from the outset of her career. This is a nice photo. Hmm. Her body was often the focal point of her roles, with directors and cinematographers focusing on specific parts of her anatomy, reducing her to a sexual object rather than recognizing her as a talented actress. This objectification was not unique to Monroe, but was emblematic of the treatment of many female stars in Hollywood during that era. Herself acknowledged the casting couch culture, where favors were often expected in exchange for roles. She openly discussed having to sleep with producers early in her career, though she also noted that talent and hard work were necessary for sustained success. The system was deeply ingrained in Hollywood, with powerful men exploiting young actresses trying to break into the industry. Studio control and exploitation was under contract with major studios like 20th Century Fox, where executives had significant control over her career. She was often pushed into roles that capitalized on her appeal rather than her acting abilities. Her struggle against the system led her to start productions company unprecedented move. Misogyny. Portrayal in films often reflected misogynistic attitudes of the time, with her being cut up into segments in her films focusing on her physical attributes rather than her talent. Exploitation in biopics and media. Even after her death, image continues to be exploited in biopics and media portrayals. The movie Blonde has been criticized for their lurid depiction of her trauma and abuse, focusing on her victimhood rather than her agency or accomplishments. Fight for agency was not passive. She actively sought to change her image and career trajectory. She studied acting, fought for better roles, and even used her image strategically to further her career. Orchestrated the distribution of semi nude photos to secure her role in Something's Got to Give, the legacy of exploitation. become a cautionary tale of Hollywood's exploitative practices. Her premature death cemented her as a symbol of the studio system's misogyny and the abuse of power by men in the industry. Hmm. Commodified and repackaged for mass consumption, often stripping her of context and reducing her to a series of iconic images or tragic narratives. Hmm. That's a stream. That's a stream. Wow. Thank you.